All right, my 2017 review. Let's go over some. Started off really rough. It was probably actually the roughest year of my saved life. So we went through some really big trials. Started off the year in Tennessee. I was there since November of the year before. I actually went down there to get to know my girlfriend's family a little better. January came along and I just started to get really hopeless. It seemed like there was really little hope for the relationship, but at the same time I just lost a good job that I quit my other job for, and I was going to start my own business. But the people that I was talking with, one of them was a church member, so I thought there was a little more accountability. But they did me much evil in the Lord by not telling me the truth and kind of leading me astray and defrauding me, a lot of lies and stuff like that. So that kind of happened, and at the same time my relationship didn't go forward, so that really stunk. Then I left. I was just trusting the Lord that I'd be able to talk to my girlfriend again. I remember the last thing I said to her was, I love you. But I was driving back in midwinter and I was in my truck. I had my car I was pulling, and I fell asleep while I was driving and I could not stay awake, so I pulled over, and then I would wake up after an hour and drive again. And I did that about 3 times. Well, then the last time that I did it, I was driving and my tire got caught in the snow and just dragged me into the middle of the highway, and I was stuck in there. Got a big bill after already was doing financially not good, so that was a big hit. And then I went back to my old apartment. I was able to stay there. Well, with all this happening, it was really hard to come back. Well, when I first came back, my church, man, they just showed me a lot of love right when I got back to the church. Just feeling the love when I really needed it, and I felt like just giving up. My church was really there for me, so that was awesome. Then I got a new job, which was promising more pay than any other job that I ever got, and best benefits I ever had either. Working on computers, a tech job. They were training us on how to fix computers, hardware and software. A lot of other Christians worked with me. Dan was working with me, and so it was awesome to be able to work with a lot of Christians there, be able to witness, and even have your Bible out and read it. And so that was a huge blessing. It was not without trial. There was 2 little car accidents within a week apart. One time I was in the church parking lot and I backed up and I hit the guy's car behind me, and had to get a new bumper, cracked it. And then I was driving down the road and I stopped at a stop sign. Well, some girl just came out and just hit me right on the side and dented my door. And so with all these trials, I just really felt like giving up. Then February came around and I moved in with some roommates and we got a new apartment, which was awesome. And then I got signed back into school, so I was back into college and things were looking up. But there was times where it would just get super depressing, realizing I wasn't going to talk to my girlfriend ever again. So that was rough. So I was working 2 jobs. One job I was working at least 60 hours a week, and then I was working at the church, at the building. I was working there for a couple hours every day that I got, literally sleeping 4 hours a day. I was in more ministries than I ever was before. I was stretching myself to the very thinnest. I was super motivated. I was working out. And in the same month of February, Brother Venom asked me, he said, hey, would you want to go to Africa this year? I know you talked about it before, and now that you're back and you're available, or would you want to go? And I said, yeah. And so I prayed about it. Everything seemed like it was coming right together for me to be able to go. So that was a big decision, which then got me really thinking about buying camera equipment and really hopping into this whole video making thing, which I've been putting off for a long time, but I really wanted to do. I was going to get to it, but with school and everything, I wanted to make sure I focus on Bible college and saving up money and stuff like that before I was able to get into video stuff. But this was kind of one of those things that just jump started me to it, and so I started buying stuff for that. March was super rough, and I was just continuously going through trials and just spiritually just feeling like I should quit. Every time I went to church, I was just like, I didn't even want to go to church anymore. It was the first time in my saved life where I was really debating whether I should keep going to church or not. Luckily, I had the right friends around. God got me over that. I would go into church determined not to go, and I would go there and God would just speak to me. I remember this one time I had to take a picture of the songbook and the message because it was like right for me. And every time I went into church, God would just speak to me, and it would just be something that was like, I need you here. I want to speak to you through the preaching. And I believe that God does want us to be there at church, because that's another way that he speaks to us. Skipping over to May, I was preparing to go to Africa. I was kind of getting over my last relationship, and things were really starting to look up, and I was really preparing my heart and seeking the Lord and just doing a lot of other things. I was singing in the choir for the first time. I was editing radio for the first time, doing Teens for Christ Bible study, doing bus captain teaching, and I was also doing ushering and other things around the church, Bible studies with people, and I was also doing campus ministry, as you saw a few videos of those. And so with the video productions that I was trying to do, literally 4 hours of sleep, that's it. And so it was definitely stretched myself to the limit. I was looking forward to Africa, and it was coming up. Literally 3 days before I had to leave for Africa, the next biggest trial hit my life, where I was faced financially with a big trial where, you know, a lot of defrauding and stuff like that kind of took place, and just with my last relationship, there was just some people that I just feel wanted me to fail. And you know, there's going to be people in your life, even Christians, that are going to want you to fail, and a lot of it has to do with just them looking better than you. And sometimes they just need to have somebody that's lower or not do as good, so that your credibility is taken away. And the Lord really protected me through that. There was one day that I spoke to my roommates for like 4 hours, and they just really helped me through the situation. And I talked to other counselors, and they helped me. And God also brought a blessing my way, where somebody wanted to help me with this financial burden. So that was a huge blessing. It was obvious the devil did not want me to go to Africa. The devil did not want me to continue, but God kept me in. God kept me serving Him. God kept me in church. He didn't allow me to get taken out. Without the right accountability, without the right people in my life, the devil definitely would have easily gotten me out of it. Before going to Africa, I had to quit my job, which was a little scary, but I left on good terms, and they said they'd probably hire me back, so that was good. Well, I went to Africa. Africa was great, and we were able to work out a lot. I was doing a lot of editing and a lot of video work there. I was figuring out my equipment, and we also were doing so many Bible studies. You can watch the Africa videos if you want to know a little more about Africa and Botswana, the area that we were in. I tried to capture enough of it so you kind of felt like you were there if you went. When I was still in Africa, about to come back, I just filled out my paperwork, got my job right when I got back to New Jersey. Right away when we got back, we got off the plane in New York City, and my dad picked Dan and I up, and so we went to New Jersey. I was able to visit and speak with a lot of old friends and family, and go to church at Solid Rock Baptist Church, and that was awesome. And being able to be there, and something even funny happened at that point where Dan got super bad sunburn. I did too, but oh man, he couldn't even. He actually, we took him to the hospital. On our way back, he couldn't even sit down. He had to keep his back up, and he couldn't even move. And this was 3 days straight. He got no sleep. And I think 2 or 3 times we had to take him to the hospital. I'm actually at the Mall of America right now. Dan and I just spent the night not sleeping. I have a huge headache. I actually dropped Dan off at the VA hospital. His sunburn is so bad, he can't lay down or anything. He's still in the same amount of pain. And I felt bad because I was the one that told him, you know, let's go to the beach, and let's not wear sunblock, and oh, that's for wimps. And so, yeah, I don't think I'll do that with Dan again. Got back to Fargo. So here we are at Chick-fil-A, and Dan is ordering, and he's just got dry skin all up in his face. Let's take a look. Did you get what you wanted?
Yeah, I did.
Then August was awesome. I was able to do a lot of jet skiing and water skiing, and I made a lot more videos. I bought a drone. Trevor got baptized, which is my roommate. We've been praying for him and working with him for a while. You know, he just wasn't sure about everything and joining the church. So him getting baptized and joining the church was a huge step in his life, and we were happy that happened. And then September, the new school year was coming up, and I was excited about that. I was getting back into school. I made a video for the first few days, and everything looked like it was looking up, and I was excited to get back into school and finish for my last year. Late August was when I talked to them about filming their wedding. So I actually didn't take any payments. I didn't get paid for it or anything. I actually paid a lot of money to go there and do it. They paid for my plane ticket and some gas, but I had to pay for a lot of other stuff. And so that was a great experience. Was able to do my first wedding. Dan helped with that, and that turned out great. Really happy with how that turned out. So I was super blessed that I was able to get that opportunity. And then when I was home, I was able to spend some time with my little sister. After the wedding, I came back, and it was almost certain our contract for the job that I was working was about to be done with. And so we were losing our jobs, everybody in the office and everything. And so that was a little depressing, especially since it was definitely the best job I ever had, with benefits and money, all the other benefits. And so lost that job. That same night, about 3 hours later, talked to my friend, and he said, hey, come talk to my boss. I went in there at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and the boss said, yeah, you know, you can work here if you want. So I got a job right away. And then that same 2 hours later, my friend comes home and says, hey, I think we want to go to West Coast in California, so would you want to drive? And that's something that we were talking about. And so I said, yeah, perfect. I just lost my job. I can go for a week, so let's go. Got a few guys together, and we went to West Coast. It was my first time in Idaho, in Nevada, Vegas. It was my first time in California, and so that was awesome. First time I met Getch, and didn't see Paul Chappell. So excited to see him. Didn't get to see him. Paul Chappell was a huge influence on my life, my favorite preacher, and it was a downer not being able to meet him. But then was able to come back, go to Yellowstone for the first time, and so that trip was just awesome. I used my drone a lot, made a couple different videos with my drone, and got a nice outreach video. We were able to do some outreach, get some tracks printed for Vegas. Then I got back, started my new job, started to work on the bus video, which was one of my biggest projects I ever did. And then I was just focused on school and just doing a little better there. Then November came around. School was still my main focus, and so I was just trying to do good in school, and everything was going well there, and the ministries, and December was great too. And so I kind of wrapped my year. It was really started off as the worst year of my life, and it ended as really good year. So looking back, great year. Can't wait for this next year. Hoping to be able to really get this camera business started, and be a little better on my video production. And so just excited for what the new year has, and thanks guys for watching, and that's my 2017.